It's Slayatraythursday, the resin's out to play. Beverly, Kathy, Elizabeth, they paved the way. Eco pour dripping like the vibe is so divine. Loving every layer, see the resin truly shine. We slay, we pour, we vibe so raw. Reason in our hands like we breaking the law.
Thanks so much for stopping by Slayatraythursday. And this week, we're talking about coffee. Now, I don't know about you, but I am not the biggest fan of coffee. Which is kind of weird when you think about it, right? Because I live in the Pacific Northwest where coffee is all the rage. But yeah, just not, I've never been into like the bitter coffee. And for me to even make it to where it's palatable, I need so much cream and so much sugar. Then it's like 8 million calories for one cup of coffee. So I just stick with my Diet Coke and we call it good. But we'll talk about all those chemicals that are coursing through my veins at a later date. I promised you that those chemicals are what are keeping me alive. Anyway, so for our coffee theme this week, I thought that we could do this. So this is a little template that I've had forever, and I have glitter on me. I haven't even started anything and I have glitter. So this is like a little template that you put resin in and then it holds that pattern. And it normally comes with an acrylic back, but somewhere along the way, I've had this for ages. Somewhere along the way, I lost the acrylic back to it. So I could use like a different shape acrylic back, but I didn't think it would look right. So we're just going to do our own thing. So what I'm going to do, well, I guess let's back up a little bit, right? So I'm going to fill this with UV resin. And then we're going to make a rectangular tray. We're going to put this on top of it after the tray is cured. And we'll see what happens. I have some ideas for the tray. I haven't fully executed it in my mind yet. So one step at a time. I love people who can come up with the whole plan all at once. My brain's not like that. My brain is tiny. Just can't do it. So what I thought we would do is use UV resin with this. So I want to use, shocking, I know, I want to use glitter. You could do this with regular resin and just use mica powder if you wanted to. But I really want to use glitter and UV resin. It's faster with the UV resin. And I like the sheerness of it. Sheerness is not the word. The translucent, is that the word I'm looking for? I think so. I like how translucent it is with the glitter. So let's do that. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. Obviously, if you had the acrylic back, that would be great. But since we don't, you can use resin tape. So you know that green tape that you use for jewelry, you can use that. Or when you can't find your resin tape, when it's gone somewhere, who knows where, you can also use some packing tape. So we're going to pivot today since I cannot locate the green jewelry tape, and we're going to just use some packing tape, and this should work just fine. Do you like how I use the word should? It's always, it's always a little bit of a gamble. So all I'm going to do is just find a little end of this tape, and then I'm just going to put it down in a few strips. So anytime that I use resin tape or packing tape, I just fold over the ends. That makes it so much easier to touch it, to have a place to touch it. Because if you're touching it in the middle, one, it leaves your fingerprints on it. Two, it's really sticky and it makes it more difficult to do what you need to do. So I'm just going to put down a good size that's a little bit over the size of our piece. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to fold back the edges just a tad bit. Okay. And now I am just going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull off more tape about the same size and just kind of layer them a little bit. So that way we have something for our little template to stick to. So I'm just going to overlap them a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't matter. You're just using this to stick down your little template over there. So now our tape is down. So now I'm just going to take, and I'm just going to put this down just in the middle-ish, wherever. And I'm going to make sure that it's like really good and stuck down. Right, let's start with, let's get some small cups, like some small medicine cups. And when you're using UV resin, one of the big things that you need to be careful of is that you don't make it so opaque that the light can't penetrate it. Because UV resin needs light to cure. So make sure that you leave it somewhat transparent. Okay, so I just have a cup full of warm water and I have my UV resin sitting in it. It's always, I like to put mine in warm water just so that your UV resin kind of gets a little bit more fluid. UV resin, especially this, it's the high viscosity. So it's already thick to start with. So I just like to add some, you know, a little bit of heat to it just to kind of help it become a little bit more fluid. You could use a less, you know, a lower viscosity resin, but then you run that chance of it running underneath your tape. So for me, I'm just going to go with this and just keep it warm, and that'll be just fine. So we have our UV resin, we have some mixing cups, we have some glitter, some beautiful glitter, which I'm super excited about. And then we also have like our little torch. So if we're doing a little space or something and we just don't want to do a full cure, we can use our little torch to just kind of set it so that it doesn't run anywhere else. And then we can go back and do a full cure afterwards. So these are super, super handy. And it's just like a little UV flashlight. And that's it. Let's start with our white. So I'm just going to take this. Want to also give it kind of a good shake, especially if you haven't used it in a while. And because I'm going to be using a decent amount of this today, I'm just going to put some into a cup and then mix up my glitter with it. Oops. So let's take our white. This is Enchanted. I have no idea where I got this from. I think, if I remember correctly, I got this off of Etsy. If I can find it in my Etsy account, I'll post it. But they had a sample pack and they had some absolutely beautiful glitters, super just shiny and holographic and just gorgeous. So this came in that sample pack, if I remember correctly. So I'm just going to put in a couple of small little stickfuls to start with. So you don't want to change the viscosity of your resin too much by adding too much glitter, especially when you're working with UV resin. So I'm just going to add a drop of some just white alcohol ink. That's it. Just one tiny drop, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a white color so we don't have to add quite as much glitter to it. And that way it remains see-through. Well, it remains translucent. And this is super pretty, but I am going to add just a little bit more glitter. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Can you guys see that? Very white, very sparkly. It's going to literally drip this in. That is pretty thick. Hang on. Let's grab our trusty scribe. And then I'm just going to put this in this little groove. And I'm using a scribe instead of a stick because it's hard to get the exact right amount with the stick, because the stick kind of picks up a big glob, but your scribe can pick up little small amounts at a time. And so I am just going to go all the way around here. And then I'm going to give it just a quick little setting cure. And I'm going to kind of do that with every little section. I'm going to use different colored glitters and just fill them in one at a time. So I'm going to let that just sit for a couple of minutes and just let it find its own path a little bit. So that is that. So I have some white left. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not on this one, but if not, you can save this. Just put it in a container that is completely light proof. You can really wrap it in your, if you use black gloves, wrap it in a black glove if you want to, and you can save it and use it later. So just a little trick there. That way you don't waste it. UV resin is much more expensive than epoxy. So, all right, let's do this. Oh, I don't want to start out like right on top of it. I want to start my lamp out a little bit higher. So what is that? Look at my ruler. Isn't that awesome? So I'm going to start it maybe 6 inches above this just at first. So that way it doesn't have any issues. It doesn't cure it too fast. Sometimes with UV resin, if you cure it too quickly, so if your light is too close to it, it'll shrink in. It can put like little waves and dimples in your UV resin. So I'm just going to start up here and I'm going to give it a little bit of a cure up high for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And then I can take it down a little bit closer and it should be fine at that point. And that should be good. And you can test it just by taking your scribe or a stick or whatever and just kind of tapping on it and seeing if it's feeling solid. Yep, and that feels good. Okay, so I have cured this on both sides for 5 minutes. So this is solid. This is definitely solid. So let's see now if we can get the tape off of it. That is always the question. I love that. I think that turned out so good. Here's the next part of my plan that will take place tomorrow because I have to go pick up my daughter. But I'm going to pour a tray mold. I'm going for a coffee color, maybe. I think I'm going to go for like a coffee color, maybe like a little bit of a marble, a brown and a white, but not a hideous brown, a pretty brown. And then once that's cured, I'm going to attach this to the top. And I think I might throw some coffee beans in too. I don't know. More to come. I will come to you tomorrow with a plan of what we're going to do. Okay, so it's later, same day. I picked up my daughter. We did all the stuff we needed to do. And now I want to start on the first layer of this tray. So what I want to do is I want to take and pour, I've decided to go with resin. I'm going to take and pour just enough on the bottom to coat the bottom. And then I'm going to come back in with this. So this will be like brown and white. I'm just going to do like a chuck it all in. I'm just going to drizzle it, and where it goes, it goes. I'm not going to try and marble it or anything. I'm just going to do, I don't know, a little Jackson Pollock action. So then once that's cured, I'm going to come back in. I want to put this cup inside of, like on top of that layer. I want to sprinkle around like a few like coffee beans, like the whole ones, and then coat it with clear resin. That's my plan. So, do we think we can make that happen? I think we can. I think we can. So this, I think, turned out so stinking cute. I love it. I really think it's adorable, even though it's not quite what I was going for originally, like green wise, but you know what? I like it. I like it a lot. So, all right, so let's just put this to the side so nothing happens to it. And let's get mixing. So I'm going to use a combination of this white, this brown, and then a little bit of this brown too. And I honestly have no idea how much to put in here. I'm going to do 8 ounces. And if that's too much, that's okay. We'll just throw it into something else. So, but I don't want to have too much in there, but I also don't want to be in a position where I don't have enough. And since I've never done this mold before, I don't know exactly how much it'll take. Okay, but at least it's clean now. So, hey, that's a good starting point. Okay, I'm going to mix up the, guys, you know, my favorite Temu resin. I love this stuff. So I'm going to mix up 8 ounces of this, and then I'll come back to you and we'll pour the bottom. So I mixed up 8 ounces, and I want to do 3.5 of white because I want it to be more white. I don't want the brown to take over. So I'm going to do mostly, I'm going to mix up more white than anything else. I don't know. Oops. Okay. So I want to put a pretty hefty amount in there. That is not hefty. Oh, maybe that's a little too hefty. That's probably a little too much, but that'll be fine. All right, so this is going to be the white, and as much white as I just put in there, it should be pretty white. So I'm going to give that a really good stir. Oh my goodness, I did not mean to put so much in. I'm just going to let that set for a little bit. And then I want to do this darker brown, a little bit more of that one than the lighter. Maybe don't quite put in so much this time. Let's start with that and see what we think. And anytime you mix mica powders, just be careful that you mix them really thoroughly. Otherwise, they can fall through and then they'll leave big dots on the front of your piece. Same thing would be true with like a pigment paste or something like that, or an alcohol ink. Just make sure that you mix things really, really well. Just to keep any drama at bay. All right, that's really pretty. That's actually a really pretty brown. I'm not a big brown fan, but that's really pretty. And these are all just generic pigments from, I think they're mostly Temu, honestly. I have to say, I kind of miss Temu prior to the tariffs. Now, like, the prices are ridiculously high. I mean, okay, let me go back and say they're not ridiculously high necessarily, but they're certainly much, much higher than they were before the tariffs. And you can usually find everything on Amazon much less expensive now, whereas in the past, in the US, that wasn't the case. Temu was always so much less expensive. So I kind of miss that, to be honest, but I don't think my bank account misses it. So I guess that's probably a good thing. Okay. Now I'm just going to go back and just give this another stir. Make sure we got all of our powders mixed in. You can see in this one that some of that powder has floated to the top. That means that it's just not mixed in thoroughly. And we just want to go back and give it another stir. Just make sure we get it all incorporated so we don't have any funkiness. How are you guys feeling about the collab? Isn't it amazing? I was so nervous. So I was kind of in a little bit of a funk, honestly, kind of like a resin funk, where I just was, I don't know, I just didn't feel like being in the studio. I just was struggling with like thoughts and like ideas and things like that. And so when Beverly over at Custom Created Handmade Gifts said, hey, we're going to do a collab, and she was like, you know, maybe it'll help you get out of your funk. And she's right. It's been so great. Just the camaraderie and everybody supporting everybody else. It's been such a great experience so far. I can't say enough nice people or enough nice things about all of the resin artists that I've encountered. They're just, everybody is just so kind and supportive of each other. And I am a fan. And if you guys are interested in being a part of the collab, let us know. It is open to everybody. We do it every 2 weeks. And each time there's a different theme. And so, yeah, if you want to participate, just send any of us an email, or you can DM us, whatever works, and let us know that you want to participate, and we'll get you all set up. So yeah, I have to say, it's been really fun. Like, I'm really enjoying it. All right. So let's put our little mold down, and I see something in it. I don't even know how that's possible. I literally cleaned it out 5 minutes ago. And here it has stuff in it. Okay. And if you have something in your mold, fuzz, glitter, so much glitter, just take a piece of tape and just rub it across, and it will just pick it right up. Okay, so I'm going to just give this a squirt with my 99% isopropyl alcohol and just kind of get that up into all the corners. You don't have to rub it in. I like to rub it in around the edges just to kind of make sure it gets in there, but that's just me. I don't know if it actually makes a difference. I feel like it makes a difference, but that doesn't mean that's actually true. All right, and so then I'm just gonna take, and I'm just gonna literally start chucking it in. No rhyme, no reason, just literally chucking it all in. Those browns are really similar to each other. Honestly, I'm not even sure that you can see a difference. I do want this corner up here to be primarily white though, just because I think that's where I want to put the cup. And I think that the cup would look better with a more white background. But we'll see. Resin does what resin does. So resin might have a different opinion on what it wants to do. Okay, so I think it's going to use all 8 ounces. Okay, sorry, my daughter came in and we had to chat because, you know, that's what we do, right? So I poured it all in. I did a little swirl action. I did go around the outside edges with a micro brush just now. I think this is going to do it. I will let this cure, and then I will see you back here tomorrow. Hey, everybody. All right, it's been a long time. It's been like 3 or 4 days. In the meantime, things have happened. My daughter went to prom. We all got sick. My grass is out of control. It's just like the world. It's like the world is just... Oh, and we're having a massive heat wave. All right, when I say massive, it's 85. But for Seattle, that is a massive heat wave. All right, I digress. Let's get back to this tray because this looks so good. This is almost exactly what I was going for. So I think that looks amazing. And so, yeah, I was really surprised because, you know, resin does what resin does. So I think it looks really good. So for the next step, I'm going to put clear in. But what I think I'm going to do is I want to take, and I just want to put this down like here. I think here is good. And I've been debating if I should glue it down before I resin it, because I don't want it to float. So I've been thinking about it, and I think I probably should glue it down. I'm going to grab our old friend E6000 and just glue this down just to make sure that it's not going to float up when when we put resin in there. Look, it's already stuck down. I don't even need to put any E6000 on it. So I'm just going to put a little bit, not a whole lot, just enough to hopefully get it to stick down. Now we have that all in the back of, all over my fingers apparently. So I'm just going to take and I'm just going to set it down, I think just like right here, almost in the corners. I mixed up 200 milliliters of resin in these cute little snack cups that I found. I needed something with some snappiness in my life. I needed something cuter than just the graduated cups. I don't know. I was just feeling it. And you can kind of make a little spout because they're paper. At least that was my plan. So I'm just going to I'm going to kind of pour this onto the stick just to kind of mitigate any bubbles, hopefully, from falling in. I'm just going to kind of let it find its own little path as best I can. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm actually going to do something here because this little cup is going to prohibit. And I know I'm breaking my own rules right now. The little cup is, or the little insert's going to prohibit the resin from getting where it needs to be, which is fine. Just trying to keep as many bubbles out of the mix as possible. Okay. That was 200 milliliters. So what is that? 6-ish ounces? Something like that. I don't want to pour. I was trying to keep it from pouring too deep because it is super warm here right now. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any like flash cure issues with it being so warm. All right, you guys, it's finished. I liked it a lot before I put this top layer on, but now it feels a little bit like just the beans are so deeply buried in there. They look weird and maybe a little distorted. I really like the cup. I think the cup is super cute. Just the beans that I don't love. And then I kind of feel like over here, it's a little bit bare and I'm trying really hard not to go and like print something on the Cricut and weed it and put it on there. I'm trying to be less is more. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Should I put some words on here? Should I? I think I should, right? I'll wait to see what you guys think, but I feel like it needs something. But yeah, the beans, not the biggest fan of them. Maybe it's just because they're so deep beneath the resin. I really like the color scheme. I love the brown and the white. I think it turned out really pretty. I love the cup. What does the back look like? Oh, here's the back. I like the back too. I think the back is really pretty too. Look at that. That's really cute. So yeah, anyway, the coffee beans, if I was going to do it again, probably wouldn't put those in, or I'd find a way to make them closer to the surface. So that way they didn't look so weird. They just don't look like coffee beans anymore. They just look like little lumps of brown. I don't know. Anyway, all right, so that is going to do it for me. So thank you guys so much for hanging out on Slayatraythursday. Please check out the playlist down in the description box. There are so many different videos this week. So excited to go and check them all out and just kind of see what everybody's done for the coffee theme. And maybe somebody put coffee beans in theirs and they have a magical way that it doesn't look weird. So check it out, and don't forget to catch us in 2 weeks with a new Slayatraythursday, and I hope to see you then. Thanks, everyone.
It's Slayatraythursday, the resin's out to play. Beverly, Kathy, Elizabeth, they paved the way. Eco pour dripping like the vibe is so divine. Loving every layer, see the resin truly shine. We slay, we pour, we vibe so raw. Reason in our hands like we breaking the law. Eco love flowing like a river so free. Beverly